The city lights blurred past Logan's car window, a familiar dance of reds and whites as he drove his delivery route. Each street sign, each turn, was a step in his daily marathon. Logan, a kind man in his early 30s, knew every pothole and shortcut in this part of town. His worn jacket, a trusty companion through countless shifts, offered little comfort against the late-night chill. He wasn't just driving. He was pushing forward, every mile a promise to his son, Leo. It had been a tough few years since his ex-wife left. She'd taken most of their savings, leaving Logan with a mountain of bills and a tiny apartment that felt more like a temporary stop than a home. Yet in the midst of the struggle, his son was his son, warming his world even on the coldest days. Logan often worked late, the hum of the car engine a lullaby to his own tired thoughts. He'd bring home leftover pizza crusts, carefully saved from a customer who hadn't wanted them, knowing Leo would find joy in a simple, cheesy treat. His apartment building was old, with creaky floors and a lingering smell of forgotten dinners. But it was theirs, a small sanctuary he fought fiercely to keep. Every morning he'd wake before the sun, making sure Leo had a warm breakfast and his favorite cartoon playing before school. Logan would then squeeze in a few more deliveries, his eyes heavy, but his spirit fueled by the thought of Leo's bright smile. He barely had time for himself, let alone friends. His reflection in the rearview mirror often showed a tired man with shadows under his eyes, a faint stubble he hadn't had time to shave, and a perpetual worry etched into his brow. But when he picked up Leo from school, all weariness would melt away, replaced by the pure joy of being a dad. He'd listen patiently to Leo's stories about school, making silly faces to make his son laugh, even if his own body ached. Logan knew he had to keep going for Leo, for their little apartment, for their future. It was a silent, daily vow. One brisk autumn afternoon, a moving truck rumbled down Logan Street, pulling up to the apartment building next door. A new neighbor was arriving. Logan, just getting back from a delivery, caught a glimpse of her as he parked his car. She was a woman about his age, with neat, dark hair and thoughtful eyes. Her name was Sarah. She looked tired too, but in a different way, not the worn-out tiredness Logan knew, but more like the stress of starting over. Sarah, pushing a dolly loaded with boxes, noticed Logan. He was getting out of an older, slightly dented car, wearing a faded work jacket. She saw the lines of fatigue around his eyes, the way he moved with a quiet resignation. To her, he looked like many other men she'd seen struggling in the city, a bit rough around the edges, probably just scraping by. She offered a small, polite nod, which he returned with a tired smile. Her first impression was a quick, simple one, another neighbor, another story of hardship. Moving into her new apartment, Sarah unpacked slowly, arranging her books and furniture with care. She was a single woman, also in her 30s, seeking a quiet place to call home after a busy few years. Her own life had its challenges, but they were different from what she imagined Logan's to be. She liked order and calm, and the busy, often noisy, comings and goings of her new neighbor were sometimes a little jarring. She'd hear his car rumble to life at odd hours, early mornings and late nights. Sometimes she'd catch him carrying grocery bags, looking like he'd just finished a long shift. She saw the little boy Leo with him sometimes, a bright spark of energy next to Logan's weary frame. Sarah would think, he's got a kid too, that makes it even harder. She felt a pang of sympathy, but it was a distant kind of sympathy, the kind you feel for a stranger. She didn't know his story, only the surface of his struggles. Life for Logan was a constant cycle of waking, working, and caring. His alarm clock, a chirpy tune on his old phone, would go off before dawn, slicing through the quiet of their small apartment. He'd rub the sleep from his eyes, the dark circles under them a permanent fixture, and pad softly into the kitchen. Breakfast was usually instant oatmeal or cheap cereal, but Logan always made sure Leo had his favorite, even if it meant Logan ate less. His delivery shifts stretched long, sometimes past midnight. Rain or shine, he was on the road, the worn tires of his car humming a weary tune. Lunch was often a cold sandwich he'd packed, or sometimes, if he was lucky, a leftover slice of pizza from a delivery. His clothes, though always clean, were clearly old, a testament to how long he'd put his son's needs before his own. The knees of his jeans were faded, and his work shirts had seen better days. Despite the endless grind, Logan's focus never wavered from Leo. After school, he'd help Leo with his homework, even if he had to fight off yawns. He'd invent silly games to play in their tiny living room, turning old blankets into forts and storytelling into grand adventures. Dinner might be simple, like pasta with canned sauce, but Logan would make it special, telling Leo funny stories about his day or listening intently to Leo's own tales. There were nights when Logan was so tired he could barely keep his eyes open. He'd tuck Leo into bed, reading him a story in a voice that sometimes cracked with fatigue. But he'd always manage a big, warm hug and a kiss goodnight, making sure Leo felt safe and loved. After Leo was asleep, Logan would often sit in the quiet living room, staring at the dim glow of the city outside, planning how to make ends meet, how to give Leo more. His own hunger for a good night's sleep or a hot meal was always secondary to his son's comfort and happiness. Sarah continued to live her quiet life next door, but little by little, her initial perception of Logan began to shift. She started noticing the small things, the quiet moments that painted a different picture than the one she'd first imagined. Her apartment window faced the building's small parking lot, and she'd often see Logan coming and going. She noticed that no matter how late he returned or how early he left, there was a steady rhythm to his life centered around his son. One afternoon, Sarah was watering her plants when she saw Logan and Leo walking home from school. Logan looked utterly exhausted, his shoulders slumped, his steps slow. Yet Leo was chattering happily beside him, holding onto Logan's hand. Instead of brushing him off, Logan bent down, despite his tiredness, to listen intently to whatever Leo was saying, a gentle smile touching his lips. He even pretended to roar like a dinosaur, making Leo giggle with delight. Another time, Sarah saw Logan carefully helping Leo climb the steps to their apartment, making sure the little boy was safe. She noticed the way Logan would carry Leo's backpack, even though it looked light, just to ease his son's load. It wasn't just about providing food and shelter, it was about constant, loving attention. These small glimpses started to chip away at Sarah's first impression. She began to see past the faded jacket and the tired eyes. She saw the unwavering patience, the gentle touch, the pure dedication in Logan's actions. It wasn't just a man struggling, it was a father working tirelessly, always putting his son first. Her distant sympathy began to transform into something warmer, a quiet admiration for the strength and love she saw shining through his daily grind. It was clear that Logan's love for Leo was a powerful, beautiful force. The quiet admiration Sarah felt for Logan soon turned into something more personal, thanks to a chilly morning mishap. She was heading out for work when she saw Logan by his car, his head under the hood, a cloud of white vapor rising into the cold air. Leo, bundled in a small coat, stood nearby, looking worried. Logan's delivery car, his lifeline, had broken down. "Morning," Sarah offered, pausing. "Trouble." Logan straightened up, wiping grease from his hands with a rag. "Yeah, looks like it. Engine's overheating." His voice was tired, a hint of frustration in it, but he managed a small, apologetic smile. "Just when I need it most." He glanced at Leo, who was shivering. "Got to get Leo to school, then figure this out." Sarah looked from the sputtering car to the anxious boy, then to Logan's weary but determined face. "I can take Leo to school," she offered, surprising herself. "It's on my way." Logan's eyes widened slightly, a flicker of relief crossing his face before he caught himself. "Oh, you don't have to, really. I can call a cab." "Nonsense," Sarah insisted gently. "It's no trouble, come on, Leo." Leo, shy at first, looked at his dad, who nodded. "Go with Ms. Sarah, buddy. I'll be right there after I fix this." As Sarah drove Leo to school, the little boy, sensing her kindness, chattered about his dad. "My daddy works super hard," he said. "He's the bestest at telling stories." Sarah listened, her heart warming. Later that day, when she returned, Logan was still working on his car, a determined frown on his face. He'd managed to fix it, a small victory, but it had clearly taken hours. "Thanks for taking Leo," he said, truly grateful. "You." After the car trouble and the school run, a small bridge had formed between Logan and Sarah. What started as polite nods in the hallway turned into brief chats. Sarah would often see Logan and Leo at the small park nearby, a patch of green tucked between buildings. She'd sometimes take her book there, finding a bench a little ways off. One sunny afternoon, Leo's ball rolled near Sarah's feet. She picked it up with a smile. "Looks like this belongs to you, young man," she said, handing it to Leo. Logan walked over, a grateful look on his face. "Thanks, Sarah. He gets a little too excited sometimes." "It's no problem," she replied, and they fell into an easy conversation. Logan, usually reserved, found himself opening up a little. He talked about the challenges of being a single dad, the endless bills, and the constant worry of keeping a roof over their heads. He didn't complain, just spoke of it as his reality. Sarah listened, truly listened, her thoughtful eyes reflecting understanding. She learned about his delivery job, how he stretched every dollar, and the dreams he held for Leo. Sarah, in turn, shared a bit about her own life, her work as a graphic designer, and her love for quiet evenings with a good book. They discovered small common interests, like a shared love for classic movies or a local coffee shop. These small talks, whether in the park or just as they were getting their mail, started to weave a gentle thread of friendship between them. Sarah saw more clearly now how Logan tirelessly balanced his duties. She watched him play with Leo, his laughter genuine despite his exhaustion. His love for his son wasn't just a feeling, it was a visible, powerful force that guided every decision he made. This deeper understanding solidified her admiration, growing into a genuine fondness for the kind, resilient man next door. Their friendship continued to deepen, slowly but surely, like a quiet stream carving its way through stone. Sarah became a steady presence in Logan's life, a calm voice amidst the everyday chaos. She offered no grand solutions to his problems, but she offered something just as valuable, a listening ear free from judgment. Sometimes, after Leo was asleep, Logan would find himself knocking on Sarah's door simply to talk. He'd share the worries that kept him awake at night, the exhaustion that clung to him, and the hopes he held for Leo. Sarah would sit, cup of tea in hand, and just listen. Her presence, warm and understanding, made his tough days a little brighter. Logan started to laugh more easily, a sound that felt foreign to him for a long time. Sarah had a gentle wit that could make him chuckle even when he was feeling low. She'd share funny stories about her own day, or recommend a silly movie that would make them both forget their worries for a little while. Leo, too, grew fond of Sarah. He'd often run to greet her in the hallway, eager to show her a new drawing or tell her about his school day. Sarah would patiently engage with him, making him feel special and heard. This ease between Sarah and Leo touched Logan deeply. He hadn't realized how much he missed having someone to share small joys and burdens with, someone who saw him not just as a struggling man, but as a good person. One evening, after a particularly grueling shift, Logan found a plate of homemade cookies outside his door. Sarah had left them, knowing he often skipped dinner. It was a small gesture, but it meant the world to him. He felt a warmth spread through him, a feeling of being cared for, something he hadn't experienced in years. Their bond wasn't about big events, it was about these quiet acts of kindness, shared laughter, and unspoken support that slowly but surely mended parts of Logan's weary heart. One rainy Saturday, Logan and Sarah were sharing coffee in Sarah's apartment while Leo played quietly with his toys. The soft patter of rain against the window, the warmth of the coffee, and Sarah's easy company created a rare moment of peace for Logan. As Sarah laughed at a silly story he told about Leo, Logan looked at her, truly seeing her, and a new feeling bloomed in his chest. It wasn't just friendship, it was a deeper, tender warmth, a sense of belonging he hadn't felt in years. He realized he looked forward to their talks more than anything, that her smile brightened his whole week. He wanted to protect that smile. Across from him, Sarah was also having a quiet revelation. She watched Logan's tired but gentle eyes as he spoke of Leo, his voice full of love. She thought about his unwavering strength, his kindness, and the quiet dignity with which he carried his burdens. Her admiration for him, which had grown steadily, now felt different. It was a pull, a longing to be closer, to offer more than just a listening ear. She realized her heart fluttered a little when he knocked on her door, and that the sight of him made her day better. Later that evening, after he'd put Leo to bed, Logan found himself pacing his small living room. The thought of Sarah filled his mind. He missed her company already. He wondered if she felt it too, this gentle shift from friendship to something more profound. He worried about his situation, his struggles, thinking he had nothing to offer. But then he remembered the peace he felt just being with her, the way she understood him without him needing to explain everything. Sarah, meanwhile, was curled up on her sofa, a book unread in her lap. She kept replaying moments from their afternoon together. The way Logan's hand had briefly touched hers as he reached for his coffee cup, the shared glance that held a little more meaning than usual. She saw him not as just a struggling man anymore, but as a truly good, strong, and loving man. And she knew, with a certainty that both thrilled and scared her, that her heart wanted him in a way she hadn't expected. The air between Logan and Sarah felt charged, thick with unspoken feelings. A few days after their coffee, Logan found himself at Sarah's door, heart pounding. "Sarah," he began, his voice a little shaky, "can I talk to you for a minute?" She opened the door wider, her own expression a mix of nervousness and anticipation. "Of course, Logan, come in." They sat in her living room, the silence stretching between them. Logan took a deep breath. I've been thinking about us," he started, looking at his hands, "about our friendship. It means a lot to me, more than I can say, and lately it feels like it's grown into something more, at least for me." He finally looked up, meeting her gaze, his eyes full of honesty and a touch of fear. "I think I'm falling for you, Sarah." A soft gasp escaped Sarah's lips, a mix of relief and joy. Her eyes, usually so thoughtful, now sparkled with emotion. "Oh, Logan," she whispered, a smile spreading across her face. "I was hoping you'd say that because I feel the same way." She reached across and gently took his hand, her touch warm and comforting. "I've watched you, Logan. I've seen how hard you work, how much you love Leo, how kind you are. It's more than admirable, it's truly beautiful. And yes, my admiration has definitely grown into something much deeper." Logan squeezed her hand, a wave of relief washing over him. I didn't think I'd ever feel this way again," he admitted, his voice thick with emotion. "My life's been pretty messy, pretty hard." Sarah nodded, her thumb stroking his hand. "Mine hasn't been a walk in the park either. But maybe that's why this feels so right. We understand what it means to struggle, to pick ourselves up. And seeing your strength, your dedication, it makes me love you even more." In that heartfelt moment, surrounded by the quiet hum of their shared building, they both knew this was the start of something truly special. Their hardships hadn't broken them. Instead, they had forged a bond of understanding and a love that felt strong and true. With their feelings finally out in the open, Logan and Sarah began to build a new chapter, one filled with hope and shared dreams. Their love wasn't a sudden spark, but a gentle flame that had grown steadily, warmed by understanding and respect. Sarah's apartment, once a quiet retreat, now often echoed with the joyful sounds of Leo playing and the easy laughter of Logan and Sarah. They started doing simple things together, things Logan hadn't had the time or heart for before. Picnics in the park, trips to the library, and even just quiet evenings watching movies after Leo was asleep. Sarah brought a sense of calm and organization that helped ease some of Logan's daily pressures. She'd help him plan meals, or just be there to talk through his worries about work. He, in turn, brought warmth and a deep, honest kindness into her life, showing her the strength that comes from loving unconditionally. Leo, once a shy boy with a tired dad, now had a beaming smile that reached his eyes. He adored Sarah, who always made time for him, listening to his stories and joining in his games. Having Sarah in their lives felt natural, like she was always meant to be there, adding an extra layer of love and security to their small family. Logan still worked hard, but now the drive felt different. He wasn't alone anymore. He had Sarah, a partner who understood his struggles and believed in his strength. Their journey proved that love doesn't always begin with grand gestures or perfect circumstances. Sometimes, it blossoms quietly from shared hardships, from seeing the best in someone even when they're at their most vulnerable. It showed that true strength is not just about enduring, but about the kindness we offer, the love we give, and the future we dare to build, even when the past has left us nearly broke. Together, Logan, Sarah, and Leo found their happy ending, a testament to the power of a caring heart.